Ofgem has set the October price cap at £1,717 per year, and it will change again in January 2025. What does this mean to EV drivers? Are we in for a huge price rise? Is home charging going to get really dear? Well, this eye-opening video delves into the surprising results of the recent changes in the price cap and the effect it is likely to have on your EV charging prices at home. Join us as we analyse the latest statistics, compare prices across different utility companies, and discuss how these changes could even affect the future of electric vehicle adoption in the UK. I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On. Well, for many people, the only reason to get an EV is to get really cheap motoring, and that means home charging at crazy low off-peak rates. Are they coming to an end? We'll also explore tips for EV drivers to save money on charging at home. Don't miss out on this essential information that every electric vehicle owner in the UK needs to know. Make sure to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more updates on electric vehicles and EV charging. Well, first, not everyone understands what the price cap is, let alone how much it is now and how much it goes up on the 1st of October. So let's look at that before we start quoting figures. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the world energy markets went into a hurricane of activity. Russia was the world's third largest supplier of oil and oil-based products, and the UK was a major buyer. Germany likewise was a massive buyer of Russian oil. So when the war started, then especially when the sanctions and bans were imposed, that supply virtually dried up, sending the price of oil and all its byproducts spiralling upwards. It was heading towards such a peak that the average family would not be able to pay the ridiculous prices our utility companies were claiming they were being forced to pay. Now, at this stage, I'm not going into the reality in that most utility companies actually order their supplies well in advance, often with contracts for more than a year ahead, meaning this was not such a massive overnight blow to them. But of course, they immediately increased prices to match to us, allowing themselves a period of record profits. Well, the government stepped in and ordered Ofgem, the government body that's supposed to protect consumers, to set a maximum price that anybody should pay, and the government was then forced to pay subsidies to the utility companies and to us and benefits to make sure all could afford to heat their homes. Now, the cap is not what people first thought. It is not a maximum price you will pay for your electricity and gas for the year. The problem with that is what happens if you have an elderly or disabled occupant who wants or needs the heating on at a higher level all the time. So the cap is merely the maximum price that a utility company can charge for each unit of gas and electricity. If you then calculate the average gas and electricity usage per house, you can calculate a price cap energy bill for the year. Oh, that, by the way, just like your quoted MPG, fuel consumption figure for your car, very few people will actually get this figure. It is important to notice that this only applies to domestic supplies, and so the price of electricity on the wholesale market and commercial markets are not affected in the slightest by a change in the price cap. So this could and should have no effect whatsoever on the price of public EV charging. Well, up to the end of September 2024, the price for a unit of electricity was set at 22.36 pence per kilowatt hour, maximum capped, and a standing charge of 60.12 pence per day. Gas was set at 5.48 pence per kilowatt hour and 31.41 pence per day standing charge. Oh, by the way, if anyone can explain why the standing charge has tripled since oil prices rocketed, I'd love to hear. The standing charge is to pay for getting the energy to your home and for meter reading visits. Oh, by the way, does anyone still get meter readings now we have smart meters? The standing charge also covers government support schemes. Now, here I suspect it doesn't actually pay anything at all towards the support schemes themselves, which are funded by the government, but goes to pay the utility companies for the extra cost of obeying those government support schemes. With the first two items, it's totally completely irrelevant what the price of energy is. It costs the same to supply electricity to a house at a penny per kilowatt hour as it does if it was 50 pence per kilowatt hour. Likewise with meter readings. They will, or won't in fact, read meters with the same frequency and costs no more whatever the price of the electricity. So the standing charge is just a way for the utility companies to get more money out of their customers to cover their supposed increase in costs. From 1st of October 2024, the maximum price that a utility company can charge for 1 kilowatt hour of electricity goes up from 22.36 pence to 24.5 pence per kilowatt hour. It's a rise of about 10%. And the standing charge has also gone up from 60.12 pence to 60.99 pence per day. That's a really trivial increase. The price of gas is probably of lesser concern to viewers, so we don't use gas to charge our vehicles. So for this video, I'm going to ignore it from now on. But of course, life is not that simple. What about Economy 7 tariffs? What about our special EV off-peak deals? Do these have to comply? Are those going to go up? And the answer is no, they don't have to comply, and there's no reason they go up. The price cap and the tariff are only applicable if you are on the standard variable tariff, which all utility companies have to offer by law. And this is to protect the poor and the vulnerable. They always have the right to get electricity at the capped price, whatever their circumstances and whatever other deals are on the market. Stick to the standard variable tariff and you know the maximum you will pay for that period of time. The price you pay on a fixed tariff or EV special tariff is not affected in any way by the change in the price cap. So what about all the deals that are on offer? Well, we have an absolute plethora of tariffs on offer. A quick look at the internet reveals upwards of 50 different deals and tariffs for many of our utility companies. We have usually about 3 fixed rates for 1, 2 or 3 years. We have trackers, flexible trackers, EV tariffs, Economy 7, to name just a few. Well, to give you an idea, here's an actual quote of a few of those to show you just how confusing it can be. E.ON in this case offer a 1-year fix, V27, which has electricity at 28.17p peak and 10.82p off-peak. Now, the 28.17p is obviously far higher than the capped 24.5p, but then the off-peak 10.81p is considerably cheaper. And then you get the V11 1-year fixed contract, another one, with electricity at 29.27 pence. It's another pence, 1 penny dearer. Peak and 11.93 off-peak. Confused? Well, I am, but bit of digging and diving, turns out V11 guarantees to use electricity backed by wind-generated energy off the Yorkshire coast. Or how about a 2-year fixed tariff, 29.74 pence peak and 12.39 off-peak? Well, this is just ridiculous, and none of these are for EVs, and they're just a few of the dozens of tariffs on offer today. So if you have any sense, you'll check your rates on a continuous basis and choose the tariff that offers you the cheapest deal. But don't expect to pay what they quote you on the quote for your annual use. Their figures are for this mythical average house on standard variable tariff, not these rates. So what if you have an EV? Well, with E.ON, the first thing you notice is that they no longer quote an average annual bill. That's just gone. Their rates are 29.87p peak and 6.9p off-peak, with a standing charge of 51.18. They define peak as 0700 to midnight, and off-peak is midnight to 0700, 7 hours. But here you get an advantage in that the whole house goes into cheap rate for 7 hours every night. So if you heat your hot water cylinder using electric or use a washing machine or dishwasher, then these can also be used off-peak, and that will save you money, and a considerable amount. Octopus quotes 23.9 pence peak and 7p off-peak with a standing charge of 49.12 pence per day. So here, there is currently no premium to pay for getting the cheap rate. The peak rate is still under the government cap, and your daily standing charge is also lower. And you get the 7p to charge your EV, even if you're doing it only once a month. This could be a better choice. Wow, this gets confusing really quickly, but fear not. Your utility company actually has a duty of care to make sure you're on the best tariff, or at least make you aware if you're not. So, if you sign up for any tariff whatsoever, you can at any time just ring them up and ask them if you could pay less on a different tariff that they offer. They have to do the calculations and they have to report back to you the accurate results. That is a very worthwhile fallback that very few people actually use. Okay, we need to add in that some utility companies offer deals, like EDF offers a totally free 4 hours charging on Sunday if you switch some of your electricity away from peak hours. Charge your EV then and also use your washing machine and dishwasher. And this is starting to look attractive. Free use of washing machine and dishwasher and free charging for 4 hours of your EV. Well, anyone on the standard variable tariff from the 1st of October will find their electricity prices go up by about 10%. That is really simple, and for many people that might be the best tariff for you. For example, if you charge just once a month, then any savings you make getting a cheap off-peak rate might be eliminated by paying a higher rate for peak hours. If you have switched to a different tariff of any sort whatsoever, then your price is unlikely to change on October the 1st due to the price cap changing. But you do need to check, because while the maximum tariff is not liable to capping, they can still choose to increase prices in line with that 10% voluntarily. I actually switched from EDF to Octopus because they did exactly this to me. Do not trust them an inch. They are a high profit-making business, and your needs, particularly if you own an EV, are not at the top of their list of priorities. There is no single calculation that you can do that will tell you which utility company offers you the cheapest electricity prices and which of their tariffs is the very best. There are better deals out there for virtually every EV driver who charges at home. So we're going to follow up this video with our rough guide to choosing the best utility company and selecting their best tariff in a future video. If you want to see that one, subscribe so that we can notify you when it does launch. For now, the huge majority of EV owners who charge at home and who have already switched off the standard variable rate will see absolutely no difference. But don't trust them, please check. Well, finally, some tips to get the very best out of your chosen tariff. First, make sure you think ahead and always try to charge your EV inside the off-peak cheap period. But then realise that if you forget or need more than the allocated hours, please just carry on charging at home. Even the standard variable rate is currently 24.5 pence per kilowatt hour, and you will have to search far and wide to beat that at a public charger. Also, talk to your employer if they have a company car park. Workplace chargers are now very popular and can cost your company absolutely nothing to install. If that turns out they do it and it's free or cheaper than your home tariff, use it. If it's dearer, don't. Also remember there are totally free public charging locations and many destination chargers are free. Restaurants and hotels often offer their clients this facility. Make use of them. Finally, if you have a tariff where the whole house goes off peak overnight, try to use other appliances during this time. Washing machines and dishwashers normally come with a delayed timer for this very purpose. The more you can switch to using off-peak, the cheaper your bill will be. You might also want to look at your old appliances and consider changing them. My washing machine was an old one and the coolest wash it did was 40 degrees Celsius. The new one offers a totally cold wash cycle, as do most of the latest washing powders, liquids and tablets. Wash whatever you can with zero heating and your washing machine bill will tumble. Oh yeah, speaking of tumbling, set your tumble dryer also to operate at cheap rates. Well, I hope this has been a help to you. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Dave. If you have enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe and click the notification bell. And for those who'd like to support the channel so we can do more investigations for you, then have a look at our Patreon membership, who get extra benefits such as videos that we don't post on YouTube, behind the scenes, bloopers, and we also do community chats, and we have community meetups as well. So have a look into that. I'm Dave.